Hello, everyone. My name is Edu. I'm a volunteer of Karimu, and I'm here in the third episode of the Karimu Talks with my friend Ego. How are you, Ego?
I'm good. I'm good, Eddie. Good to see you. The last time I saw you was actually on the Karimu volunteering trip. So it's good to see you, my friend.
Exactly. It was a great experience, and I can start talking here that I learned a lot from you. So it was great to work with you on the fields, auditing the water points, and doing other activities there together. So good. So let's start. My first question, Ego, is who are you? What do you do for living? Where you live? Tell a little bit
Okay.
about you.
All right. Thank you. So before I actually go on to talk about myself, for those who joined the episode 3 live on Instagram, as you know, we had challenges, right? So as I said in the chat, we have the best intentions, but technology does fail us sometimes. So if you did join, thanks for your patience, and we do apologize on behalf of Edu and I. Okay, so who am I? I'm Ego Obi. So I like to describe myself as someone who is passionate about making a positive impact in people's lives through my time, my talent, my resources, and my life experiences. That's how I first describe myself before I get into what I do for a living, where I live, where I was born. So I'm a technology strategist and a responsible AI advocate. Translated in simple language, I head strategy and operations for Google in Africa. And the reason I say I'm a responsible AI advocate is for the last 5 years, I've been conducting a research on ethical AI design and development, where kind of looking at how, as we build technology, we have a human-centered approach that ensures that what we do as technologists impacts humanity and society in a very big way, because that's the core of who I am as a person. I was born in the UK of Nigerian parents, born in England, grew up in England, and but with uh, African values at the core. You can't be a Nigerian raised kid and not have these cores, values, sorry, as at the center, right? And one of those is respect. And I'll talk about that and how it kind of plays into how I show up as a volunteer in with Karimu.
Amazing. So one of the things that amazed me in my trip to Tanzania is how the caliber and how amazing are the volunteers. So I met amazing human beings there. I learned a lot from all of them, and this is part of our intention here on Karimu Talks for you to know a lot of these amazing people with generosity and great intentions to make the planet Earth a better place. So, Ego, how did you meet Karimu for the first time? How you heard about the our nonprofit?
Okay, so my first visit to Tanzania, which is, of course, where Karimu is based or headquartered, was in 2014. So I was on a work volunteering trip. I was at Google at the time, and about 15 or 20 of us went on a volunteering trip to Tanzania. At that time, my then manager, Nelson Matos,
Ah,
who is the chief operating officer for Karimu, he was my manager at the time. And I did tell him about the trip to Tanzania, or the intention of going on that trip. He wanted to come on the trip. However, with Nelson showing up, the it would have been more of a PR stunt, You show up, you're Google exec, you show up, you probably, I don't know, maybe put some plastering on a wall. We do photo opportunities and then you leave. But Nelson actually wanted to be hands-on, to be involved. So that was in 2014. And then a couple of years later, Nelson separated from Google, and he mentioned the fact that he was involved in this charity called, or this nonprofit called Karimu. And because of the experience that I had working with Nelson, he was my manager, but a mentor at the same time, a man of excellence, a man of intelligence. And for me, it was a great opportunity to continue working with him because he'd left Google, right? And both himself and Claudia over the years, Claudia Nelson's wife, over the years, I would say have become friends. And to have Nelson in my life is such a blessing that it meant that wherever Karimu went, I followed. Right. So that's how I got involved. So the first year I volunteered. So I started volunteering actually in I want to say 2016. However, my first trip to Tanzania with Karimu was in 2018. So that's how I got involved. And over the years, I've made amazing friends. And each year, the pool of friends actually keeps expanding. And, I've learned so much about myself by being involved in Karimu. And I've met such amazing people. And, in terms of support as well. So I'm sure you have questions for me around motivation and everything else. But something I'd like to say is, like I mentioned, my first trip was in 2018, right? No, was it 2018? 2018 or 2019? 2018. But when in 2019, we had planned for the trip, and about a month before, my mom died. And I wasn't sure whether to come on the trip or not. I talked to family, I talked to friends, and they said, it might not be a good idea. I remember I spoke to Kathy, one of the volunteers. I spoke to Leslie, one of the volunteers, and I spoke to Nelson as well. And the advice actually was, it might be good to come because it kind of helps you. Of course, you're surrounded by people at home, but they're going through the same pain. And that was the best decision that I made. I went on the trip in July 2019, and I got a lot of love. I got a lot of support. It was what I needed. It was, of course, not family, but they were a different family who didn't exactly feel my pain, but they were there to carry me through. My trip, I think I ended the trip. I didn't go on the safari afterwards because I had to go for the funeral, but it was the best decision that I made thanks to the Karimu team.
Yeah, this story is very impactful. And I can imagine why they said that this would be good for you, because there are so many intense moments that can help you to understand life, understand hope, understand generosity, that in a situation like what you were, probably was a good advice. And you mentioned about some learnings during this whole process, Ego. What was the most important lesson you learned during all these years as a volunteer at Karimu?
I think so many lessons. You get to learn more about yourself, and I would say being a volunteer has taught me to take the focus of myself and really think about how are we showing up for others? How are we creating and adding value to the lives of others? So I'm from the West, as the world would call it, and we have so much at our disposal, and we want more. The biggest lesson I learned from being involved in Karimu, and that will keep me going, is the fact that people are so content,
Yeah.
right? And we define things like, oh, because somebody doesn't dress like me, they're poor, but they're rich in spirit, they're
Absolutely.
rich in hope. And, it actually makes you really embarrassed about the
Yeah.
things we worry about, right?
Yeah.
And also we approach, if you've never been before and you come for the first time, sometimes you think, oh, these poor kids. And the one thing that sticks in my mind is a photo which one of the volunteers, or maybe even the staff on the ground, shared. It was rainy season, and we actually did go one year where it was so muddy you couldn't even get past. And there were kids playing in the mud. They were laughing, they were having fun, they were sliding down the street. But anyone looking at that from the outside would say, oh, poor kid, they're so dirty. But this is them having real fun and deep belly laughter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No care in the world. So it taught me to see things from their perspective. And I learned a lot of lessons. These guys are very grateful. I mean, just even take the welcome ceremony that happens when you land. You never get enough of that. And if you think about this year in July, right, at the end of the trip, all the tributes to the volunteers, the
Yeah.
gifts, the words of encouragement and praise and gratitude that the community show, it just shows you that there's more to life than the things
Yeah.
that we worry about in the West. Respect
Yes.
for people, you look in their eyes and you
Yeah.
know they're truly, truly grateful.
Yeah.
And in that, what we may see as lack, they're very generous.
Absolutely. Right.
Generous in their prayers. Do you remember when we went, tracking the water points, right?
Yeah.
Kind of checking the water points. People stop you in the street and they say, "You're from Karimu. We're grateful to you.
Yeah.
You've changed our lives. We've saved time. I would spend hours going to get water downhill in the valley, uphill. And now I have time to spend on my farm. I have time to spend with my family." I mean, what great validation do you get from that? They stop you, they pray for you,
Yeah.
right? Who does that in the streets of London?
No.
Okay,
No.
I'm working in Kenya now. With my work, I've been in Kenya for the last year. Same region as Tanzania, same language, but I don't recall anyone stopping me to pray for me for the things that we've done, that my company has done, for example.
But you
You
live
know?
in Nairobi, right? So big cities. In the big cities,
Yes, yes.
people are super busy. They don't have time to be grateful. They don't have
Yeah,
time
I
to.
know,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's an excuse not to be grateful, right? And
Yeah.
these people can
They
tell
are.
you how Karimu has changed their lives. And the one thing I love about the Karimu approach is the fact that the community is engaged even before Karimu decides to work on anything. What are their needs? And they prioritize. And based on that, we get
Really.
involved. So through the work that Karimu does, the impact is not just on one demographic. It cuts across
Yeah.
mothers, babies, saving groups, like the healthcare, the schools, the physical building, the teaching the kids, inclusion, like disabled kids, teacher training, engage you teaching actually practical skills, farming,
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship through the savings group, and through the farms as well. So if somebody were to ask me why Karimu, my question would be why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. And Ego, sometimes the volunteers, they approach me, or a person that wants to become a volunteer approach me and say, what does a volunteer do? So tell me a little bit what you did in these trips. what projects you helped hands-on to
Mm.
be developed? Tell a little bit about your experience as a volunteer working.
Okay. So the first year I went, it was actually quite a challenge for me because we did construction work, right?
Okay.
So what that meant was first you walked, I don't know, how long is it? About 45 minutes to, the school where we had.
Oh yeah, it's
So
45
you
minutes.
walk
Yeah.
about 45 minutes downhill, uphill. It was a struggle for me, right? So that year, the first year, I worked on construction sites. So either digging and carrying, like what do they call them? The wheelbarrow of sand, clearing stuff, plastering walls, working with the fundis. Fundi means the workmen.
Uh-huh.
So like hard
Okay.
work, carrying sand to one place to the
Literally hands-on, literally
hands-on,
hands-on.
like hands-on, plastering walls and carrying water. But it was physically challenging, but mentally and emotionally fulfilling, right? Because you then see the appreciation, right,
Yeah.
of those around, either the children or the teachers or the locals who were around. And what made that time so special is the time spent with the volunteers together. So we all had like different stations. Maybe somebody is. I remember one of the things we did was we had to like pave the path outside the veranda outside the
Uh-huh.
classrooms, right? So you had to level it first, then you have to fill it, and then you have to then put the cement, right, and level it. It was a lot of work, but it was fulfilling at the same time because you look back and you see that, I actually contributed to doing this. So that was a lot of hard work. Um,
You
uh,
you worked in the water project, right? So you
yeah,
you
yeah. So that was the first year, and then even before I went on that trip, I was the program manager for the water project. So setting up processes, identifying, kind of mapping the water point locations. I came up with the naming conventions. All those ones we saw, came up with that naming convention, working with the staff as well to ensure that it's met the standard that we wanted. And then, putting working with the team on the ground to ensure that the numbering was, the plaque was created, right? But then we
Mhm.
learned over years that some of the solutions we came up with weren't sustainable. If you remember, those
Yeah,
plastic signs were
didn't
coming
work. Yeah.
up, right? Or the paint numbering, that didn't work. But I was kind of involved. So not just on the ground, but also coming up with processes, tracking the maintenance, coming up also with processes to track the maintenance of the water projects, and then kind of upskilling the local team, the team on the ground, as well as the water champions, the water ambassadors. So we weren't just upskilling the staff, the locals as well were gaining skills from that. And I think one time, I don't know if it was, I think it was with Karimu, where you know actually, yes, it was. So for the water project, actually digging the trenches from the town, the village itself, up onto
Wow.
not the mountain. No, I didn't do that one. That was Ari this year. No, I didn't do that. But getting up to the tank,
Ah,
the
okay. The
yes,
water
and then
tank. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
water tank, and then the pipes were laid. So that, and then the year we did construction, I think we did something really amazing. We ran a leadership program for girls. So
Ah,
a number of us in the group led that. I don't want to call names because I might forget someone, but you know who you are if you're listening to this. And that was so impactful, very empowering for the girls. I also participated in assisting on the education program. But the beauty of kind of volunteering with Karimu is the fact that you can get involved in anything that actually suits you,
yeah.
right?
This
And
was
I
would
think,
be my comment, right?
yeah,
All types
yeah,
of
anything
activities.
that
If
suits
you want
you.
to be hands-on constructing, if you want to be a program manager, building the process, thinking about the whole project that can
Strategy, yeah,
impact, or if you want to be an auditor. I was an auditor in the water points, and one
yes,
day we 1 or 2 days we worked together
together, yeah,
visiting in a motorbike. You visit the water points and make a checklist on
hmm,
what was not following a checklist, if everything is fine or not. So yeah, all types of activities in the schools, helping to teach some type of class. So
mm,
if you are a nurse or a doctor or a dentist, there are
yeah,
tons of activities now that we need to send or to teach them how to improve how they take care of the patients. So we had 2 nurses from Brazil with us visiting the facilities, and yeah, so many different types of skills are very welcome. Or maybe just being a consultant or an
yeah,
artist and
hmm,
donating part of what you make to Karimu is also an important inspiration and useful help. Like Nelson, for example, sometimes he does consulting and he donates the money to Karimu.
yes.
We have other friends that they do art, they sell a picture, they draw right a portrait, and then they sell and they donate to Karimu. So we
Yeah,
are very creative.
there's so many ways to fundraise for Karimu. So within my organization as well, there's the Giving campaign where a number of us who are Karimu family, either actively volunteering or remotely volunteering, we set up campaigns where we raise money for the organization. For me, I would say it's money well spent, it's time well spent, because you know that you're impacting lives. Really, you truly are impacting lives. And I remember when I joined, there are people who had joined before me, and progress had been made. And to see where we are today, I remember when I first moved to Kenya with my work, I was being introduced. I wasn't new to the company, but I was new to Kenya. And we had like a roundtable, and the question to me was, what is your greatest achievement?
Uh-huh.
No brainer. My greatest achievement is the fact that I can impact the lives of people in Tanzania through Karimu, even if it's in a small way. I've
Uh-huh.
impacted lives, and that's my life goal, to impact lives in a positive way through my time, talent, resources, and life experiences. What better place to do that than with Karimu?
Fantastic, Ego. You are a fantastic inspiration to me and to many other people. I'm absolutely sure. Let me change gears a little bit here. In your opinion, Ego, where Karimu needs most help now?
Where we need most help now. So if I just go back to what I said about the strategy, right? The strategy
Mhm,
is to engage with the community leaders to
mhm,
understand their needs. And I would say that's program management 101. You have to understand the needs of your stakeholders, not telling them what they want, but listening to what they say they want. Once
mhm,
we have that, working with them to prioritize, right? So that's them doing the work, guided by the Karimu team. And
mhm.
once they've done that, what we can do is really financial. So supporting that project, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't say, as a donor, I can't say, or Karimu can't say, we'll buy you chairs for the classrooms if that's not what they need.
Yeah.
So the only way we can actually support their strategy, which is really theirs, we're really just guiding, right, is through money. So for me, I would say what Karimu needs the most is the financial support. I don't know if everyone's aware, but everyone, all the volunteers are unpaid, right? And everything Karimu, there's accountability with the leadership team. So
Yeah.
Don, Marianne, Claudia, Nelson, there's full transparency, there's full accountability of how the monies received are spent,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I would say we would go further, faster, if we get, if more projects are funded. That would be the easy way. And then, of course, there's, like underground volunteering that we do. That goes a long way as well because we're part of the execution team. But not everyone can come on this trip, right? So I would say priority one is give, give, and give. And your money is well spent, and you would be proud of the impact that the team actually have. So for
Yeah.
me, that's number one.
Yeah. I think one great thing that Marianne and Don and Nelson are doing now is that you can donate money, and these volunteer programs where you have different types of trips that you can go there and see with your own eyes where
Yeah.
your money is being invested is great, right? Because a lot of people, they sometimes they have some concerns. I'm not sure that my money will be well spent or if it will be well invested. If you have the brutal transparency that Karimu has, right? We publish all the projects, we publish
Yeah.
all the reports, all the projects. We have an amazing volunteer, Holly, help us to
Yes.
be extremely precise on this. And also you have the possibility to go there with us and see with your own eyes what's happening now and the transformation, the real impact we are making in that community. So this is a great method. And I agree with you now that we built this methodology to engage with the community, learn from them and listen from them what are their priorities and help them to manage this. Now I think to scale, we really need more funds,
Absolutely.
and we'll be able to impact more people. This is what we are doing now. We started with Ayalagaya. That was the first village, the first region. Now we're
Yeah.
expanding to Ari. That
Ari.
we have more people, and now we expect, just to give you, all of you that are watching, we expect that we will need $6 million for the next 3 years in funding to really do what we did in Ayalagaya. So just to replicate in a larger scale what we did in Ayalagaya, and of course spend some of the programs. But yeah, I agree with you, Ego. And uh, almost finishing here, Ego. What touched your heart most during the trips? In special, to me, I also want to complement my question asking, what do you feel during the ceremonies, the farewell and the welcome? So share a little bit to people. What is the feeling?
Okay, so the feeling, the ceremony. Okay, so one thing, a lot of things stand out. It's very hard to pinpoint one thing that I observed. But the thing that stands out is the gratitude, number one, and then also the dedication. So one of the trips, I we went to observe a savings group meeting, right? I have so many examples, but this one just comes to mind. Um, the dedication of the attendees or the participants is just amazing,
The
right?
discipline,
So
right?
the discipline, the dedication. So they're there ready for the meeting to start. Like minutes before, maybe 10, maybe 20, I don't know. And that's so, when I observed that, I felt that the corporate world has a lot of lessons to learn from such simplicity,
Yeah.
right? So that, and then the welcome ceremony, and then of course the leaving ceremony, it's just so special. You feel so special. You feel like royalty. The way you're being celebrated, that's just so amazing, and it's lovely. You hear, you see dances from different parts of the region. It's just it's heartwarming, and you get so many gifts, all these blankets you get,
Yeah. Yeah.
colorful blankets, right? But no, jokes aside, it's a lovely feeling. And the feeling of knowing that you've impacted someone's life whilst they're alive, and they recognize and acknowledge you, nothing actually tops that. So I would I would say, working with Karimu and impacting those lives is the gift that keeps giving me, right? Rather than the other way around,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Good. So one of my missions here is to unlock generosity on people.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
hope that Ego, with these amazing words and her story, inspire a lot of people to join us in this journey to help this community. And I like to say that when you join this journey, probably you will receive much more than what you're gonna
Absolutely.
give. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So so that's it.
I
I
want to
just want
say
to.
something. I want to say something. So, anyone watching like this second, can you notice how Edu and I are smiling?
Yeah.
You never stop smiling. It's just an amazing feeling that comes from inside, because you know that you're doing something that is truly worthwhile, and nothing else matters. Doesn't matter whether there's traffic where you are in your
But
world, or this meeting where someone rubbed you up the wrong way. You know that doing this, you truly are changing lives for the better. Lives not just theirs, but yours. Like you said, Edu, right?
yeah,
You receive more than you actually give, because what we get back as volunteers, you can't quantify it in dollar terms.
yeah, I agree. And the planet Earth needs more of this. I'm convinced. So I just want to remember, all of you that are watching, please follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook. Join us in our newsletter. So subscribe to our newsletter, and I will do my best here to bring more amazing volunteers. Probably as good as Ego, because I saw amazing people there. Ego, it was a pleasure, and it was great to meet you again. We should do these conversations more often, Ego. I miss you,
I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
and I know that.
It's so
I,
good to see you. It's so good to see you, honestly.
I
Um,
know that you are very busy, so I really appreciate your time.
thank you.
Working with AI now in the artificial intelligence in the world is reinventing itself with this new tool. So I know that you are super busy, but thanks for spending the time with us.
My
And
honor and pleasure. Thank you.
okay, bye bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
We'll
Take
keep
care.
in touch. Thank you for
Bye.
watching. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.